Shannon is a Hong Kong-based martial arts student. Danny, her father, works a nearby restaurant by day and creates video games at night. A few years ago, Shannon's mother passed unexpectedly in the car on the way to the airport. Shannon holds her father responsible for her mother's passing because he declined to provide her a ride that day. Since then, the father and daughter's relationship has changed significantly. Shannon rarely travels home because she resides in the dorm at her school. She and Ricardo, a student in her class, are rivals. She is regularly victimized by him and his companions' bullying. The bullies once complained that the food wasn't spicy enough in Shannon's father's restaurant. They refuse to pay even after they have consumed it all. They face retaliation from Shannon, who makes them pay. Ricardo, feeling humiliated, drops the cash to the ground and leaves. Shannon takes it and hands it to her dad, who is dressed as a mascot. She also expresses her regret to him for Ricardo's disrespect. The following day at school, Ricardo exacts revenge by causing the brother of Shannon's buddy to tumble and spill his lunch. Even when Shannon's pals beg her to forget it, she won't let them off the hook. She eats from their plates while sitting among the bullies with assurance. Ricardo abandons her by himself and departs with his friends after feeling intimidated. Later, Shannon learns he ruined her clothes in the dryer. She is bothered by the group every day. They make fun of her mistakes, cause her to trip and fall multiple times, and put frogs in her food. Daily fights are held in front of the local store owner's home. Ricardo has won every battle he has engaged in so far, Shannon is informed. She uses the chance to confront him in front of everybody. She even goes so far as to wager that if he loses, she'll make him wear a skirt. In response, Ricardo demands that if he wins, she cut her hair and dress like a man. The conflict commences, and it lasts for a while. Ricardo is obviously much more skilled than Shannon, though, as is obvious. She is suddenly caught off guard and given a punch to the gut by him. Shannon is on the verge of passing out from the anguish. After the punch, she struggles to stand up and is overpowered in one kick. She receives a pair of scissors from Ricardo while he laughs at her. Shannon chops off her hair after admitting defeat. The following day, she has short hair and is teased by everyone at school. When she first joins the class, Ricardo refers to her as a guy, which only makes her furious. In the middle of class, she strikes him because he won't stop calling her names. Before a fight starts, a teacher has to separate them. After that, Shannon is brought to the principal's office. He phones Danny and informs him of his daughter's mischief. In an effort to make up, Danny says she is hostile because he hasn't been a good parent to her. Additionally, he urges the principal to release her this time. Some girls block Shannon as she goes to get her food from the cafeteria that day. Together with Ricardo, they are harassing her around the school. Everyone ignores Shannon's friends' pleas for them to stop supporting a bully. Shannon leaves without her meal out of a desire to avoid a commotion. Her mother, who inspired her to become interested in kung fu, comes to mind as she reflects. Shannon's mother made her train when she was a very small child, unlike most mothers who gave their daughters princess clothes. As much as Shannon needed kung fu, she thought kung fu needed girls like Shannon. The following evening, Danny phones her and invites her to spend the weekend at home because she hasn't been there in 3 months. Although she is hesitant, Shannon decides to go see him. Danny makes a call to an investor after the conversation with his daughter, inviting him to check out his new game. He has produced a virtual game that requires actual combat to succeed. Shannon visits her house at night and sees her father. Danny tries to engage her in a conversation, but she is unpleasant and dismissive. She fakes a laugh and turns away when she is reprimanded for being rude. Danny also inquires about Shannon's hair, but she ignores him and refuses to share her experience of bullying. She holds him accountable for everything when he brings up the alteration in her behavior following her mother's passing. Danny leaves after being hurt by her words. A little while later, Shannon enters his home office and looks around. Jewelry is on a table, but she doesn't give it any thought. Additionally, she chooses to put on a headset that she discovers on his workstation. She puts it on and immediately is transported to a virtual version of ancient China. She is suddenly attacked by a gang of people, but she successfully protects herself. She also observes that her hair has grown out once more. She then fixes her gaze on Ricardo, who is battling the opponents while sporting traditional Chinese attire. In reality, he is fighting burglars who are attempting to steal food from a farmer's home. Shannon is taken aback by the fact that Ricardo is finally acting morally. Norman, the group's commander, then steps forward to engage Ricardo in combat. He quickly passes out as a result, having been exposed as being vulnerable to Ricardo's skill. Ricardo returns to the farmers with the grain sacks that had been taken from them after the thugs leave. He is pursued by Shannon, who questions him about his involvement in the game. He has a different name than Ricardo and a very different demeanor, as she soon discovers, but he is still involved in the game. Additionally, he tells her about Norman and Tyson, two highly effective robber siblings. To rob the underprivileged of their food and resources, they have assembled and trained an army. Ricardo is so risking his life to defend the citizens of his community. He believes that since his irritable brother Tyson recently vanquished Norman, he will return to exact revenge. Tyson is enraged somewhere in the robbers' camp. In order to determine the most advantageous time to attack the community, he sends some of his people to watch on Ricardo. The community is then shown to Shannon, and she is given a tour of the martial arts school. In the virtual world, she runs into her bully Daryl, who is one of the good guys. The martial arts instructor is the principal of her school. He has his pupils surround her because he believes she is with the robbers. He apologizes and assigns her to her own room for the duration of her stay in their town after realizing that she is just a harmless foreigner. The head of the community is also introduced to Shannon. Ricardo suddenly becomes ill and loses consciousness. They are taken to Miss Aries, the town doctor, by the group. She is an excellent warrior and has martial arts training. She and Shannon will later tour the village once Ricardo is feeling better. They discover an old shed where a monk with a horrific appearance is meditating. According to Aries, the man is her father, who has been hiding in the shed for a year. It turns out that her father, Bao, used to travel and help people while apprehending robbers wherever he went. Aries hasn't left the shed, though, as he wanted to be alone in the wake of his mother's passing. For the following few days, Shannon stays in the hamlet and receives instruction from the village chief in various martial arts. As they train together, she and Ricardo share a wealth of knowledge. As a result of the rise in robberies, the town soon runs out of food. Only 2 meals are served each day instead of the usual 3 by the village chief. Because they could soon starve to death, the workers and the general public are in anguish. So in order to steal grains at night, Shannon, Ricardo, Daryl, and Aries visit the thieves' home. To knock out the security guards, Daryl utilizes a tube and darts. Once inside the storage space, they begin to pack everything. The alarm, however, goes off and everyone in the house hears them coming. To defend the others, Aries approaches the danger zone of the adversaries. She must regretfully leave the group while the others flee. The village chief declines Shannon's request to save Aries when she approaches him the following morning because Aries was found stealing, which is prohibited by the village rules. Aries' father Bao is the next person she seeks to for assistance. He receives a detailed account of her mother's passing and how she held her father responsible. Shannon expresses gratitude for her father's kindness and acknowledges that she was wrong to hold him responsible. When Bao emerges from the shed desperate to save his daughter, she's about to give up hope. Before rescuing Aries, the party assaults the robbers' base and engages the guard in combat. Reunited, the father and daughter decide to take a journey together just like they used to. Shannon wants them to remain until all of the robbers have left, but Bao insists he believes they can stop the bandits. Tyson gathers his warriors and prepares to attack the village once he learns that his troops were attacked. In order to stop him from doing something similar, Shannon, Ricardo, and Daryl come up with various strategies. Since this is a game, Shannon is aware that there must be a means to overcome the adversary. She then recalls the necklace she had seen on her father's table, which was an identical match to the soldier's jewelry. She gratefully acknowledges her father for the tip. A few hours later, Tyson and his forces launch an attack on the village. They are engaged in a fierce combat with the local chief and his students. Shannon notices the necklace and the man wearing it while the fight is still going on. She attempts to fight him, but is killed and returned to the present. Shannon puts on the headgear once more as a sign of defiance. She discovers that she still has 1 life, which enables her to resume where she left off in the game. She defeats the soldier this time and manages to take his jewelry. She finds her mother's photo inside the locket after opening it. Because Shannon was able to decipher the hint, all of Tyson's warriors vanish in a flash. They defeat Tyson and take the victory when he is the lone survivor. Then, by the side of the river, we see Shannon and Ricardo. She explains to him how much she misses her father and begs him to take her back home. She is sent back to reality by Ricardo, who assures her that he will never forget her. It had only been a little while since Shannon began playing when she returns. It turns out that all this time, Danny and a potential investor had been observing her play. Shannon apologizes to her father and gives him a hug. The investor proposes to invest 10 million yuan in the game because he is so taken with it. A national kung fu competition will take place the following week. Both Shannon and Ricardo competed in the contest and were chosen in several divisions. To advance to the championship game, they must win 4 rounds. Shannon observes her surroundings on the day of the competition and laments the absence of her father. Even so, she gives it her all and handily defeats the real-life Aries. Like this, Ricardo triumphs in the next rounds to advance to the championship. In the semifinal, Shannon faces a man who she eventually beats after a competitive match. The rivals must now square off in the championship round. As they prepare to battle, the audience watches with interest. Shannon deflects Ricardo's initial stroke, which she launched. Ricardo does the same, dodging every blow Shannon throws at him. None of them receives a solid blow in the first round. Even after the referee blows the whistle to signal the end of the round, Ricardo continues to act dirty and attack Shannon. He loses points, but he doesn't give up. They appear to have comparable strengths and skills in the following round. Suddenly, Shannon gives Ricardo a back kick, causing him to stumble. Ricardo smacks her on the back of her knee after breaking the rules once more in a fit of wrath. Despite her anguish, Shannon gets to her feet and prepares for the subsequent round. He breaks yet another rule by kicking her, this time in the back of the head. Shannon is about to pass out when she notices her father applauding for her from the audience while dressed as a crab. She gets up to confront Ricardo after finding fresh motivation. She applies the method she had learnt with the virtual Ricardo, recalling it to him. She eliminates him without a hitch to win the match. She rushes to her father and gives him a hug as the audience claps in celebration. She returns to school in the final scene. She apologizes to Ricardo, who says that she deserved to win the last match. So what's your thought about this movie? Please let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed my video, please like and subscribe for more.